The rain hammered against the emergency room windows as Elena Martinez pulled her worn cardigan tighter around her shoulders. Her shift had ended an hour ago, but she couldn't bring herself to step into the storm. The thin fabric of her scrubs would be soaked within seconds, and her apartment was a 30-minute walk away. She counted the crumpled bills in her purse again, barely enough for groceries, let alone a taxi. "Excuse me, are you all right?" Elena looked up to find a man in an expensive charcoal suit standing before her. His dark hair was slightly disheveled from the rain, and his steel-gray eyes held an unexpected warmth. She recognized him immediately. Alexander Blackwood, the CEO whose company funded half the hospital's new wing. His face had been plastered across business magazines for months. "I'm fine," she lied, pulling her cardigan closer, just waiting for the rain to ease up. Alexander glanced at her thin clothing, then at the torrential downpour outside. "That storm isn't stopping anytime soon. Can I offer you a ride?" Elena hesitated. She'd heard the stories about wealthy men and their expectations, but the kindness in his eyes seemed genuine, and the alternative was spending the night in the hospital lobby. "I don't want to be any trouble," she said softly. "No trouble at all. My car is right outside." The ride to her modest apartment building was filled with comfortable silence. Alexander didn't ask intrusive questions or make small talk. When they arrived, he insisted on walking her to the door despite the rain. "Thank you," Elena said, fumbling with her keys. "I really appreciate this, Elena Martinez," he said, reading her name tag. "You're the nurse who saved my daughter's life 3 months ago." Elena's eyes widened. She remembered the little girl, barely 5 years old, brought in after a severe allergic reaction. The child had been unconscious, her father frantic with worry. "Sophia," Elena whispered. "How is she thriving, thanks to you? You stayed with her all night, even after your shift ended. You held her hand when she woke up scared and confused." Alexander's voice grew thick with emotion. "I never properly thanked you. It was just my job," Elena said, though she remembered that night vividly. The little girl's father had looked so lost, so terrified. Elena couldn't bear to leave them alone. It was more than that. Alexander reached into his jacket and pulled out a business card. "I've been looking for you. I wanted to offer you something." Elena took the card hesitantly. "Mr. Blackwood, I can't accept money." "What I did was not money," he interrupted. "A position. Head of pediatric nursing at our new children's hospital. The salary would be substantial." Elena stared at the card, her heart racing. It was everything she'd dreamed of, but something felt wrong. "Why me? There are nurses with more experience, better qualifications, because you cared for my daughter like she was your own. Because you have the heart this position requires." Alexander paused, rain dripping from his dark hair. "And because I think we could help each other." "Help each other how?" Alexander was quiet for a long moment, studying her face in the dim light of the hallway. "Sophia needs stability. She needs a mother figure. Since my wife died 2 years ago, I've struggled to give her what she needs. I work too much, travel too often. She's withdrawn, barely speaks to anyone except her nanny." Elena's heart ached. For the little girl, she remembered how Sophia had clung to her hand that night, whispering that she missed her mommy. "And you?" Elena asked gently. "What do you need?" "A home," he said simply. "Not just a house filled with expensive furniture and empty rooms. A real home, warmth, laughter. Someone who understands that family matters more than board meetings and profit margins." Elena felt tears prick her eyes. She thought of her own childhood, bouncing between foster homes, never quite belonging anywhere. "Mr. Blackwood, I can't just—" "Alexander," he corrected. "And I'm not asking you to marry me tomorrow. I'm asking if you'd consider taking the job. Spend time with Sophia. Let her get to know you. See if we might be what each other needs." Elena looked down at the business card in her trembling hands. The salary listed would change her life completely. She could pay off her student loans, help her elderly neighbor with her medical bills, maybe even take night classes to finish her degree. But more than that, she thought of the lonely little girl who'd whispered, "Please don't leave me in the dark hospital room. I need time to think." Elena said finally, "Of course. Take all the time you need." Alexander turned to leave, then paused. Elena. That night at the hospital when you stayed with Sophia, you sang to her a lullaby in Spanish. She's been humming it ever since. Elena's breath caught. She remembered singing the song her foster mother Maria used to sing to her, the only woman who'd ever made her feel truly wanted. It's called Dormit mi niña. Elena said softly, "Sleep, my child." It's about a mother's love protecting her baby through the night. Alexander's eyes glistened. She's been asking for the angel lady who sang the beautiful song, I think. I think she's been waiting for you to come back. After Alexander left, Elena sat in her tiny apartment, staring at the business card. The rain had finally stopped, and moonlight streamed through her small window. She thought about her current job at the underfunded public hospital, where she worked double shifts just to make ends meet. She thought about Alexander's offer, not just the job, but the possibility of a family. She'd always been careful with her heart, having learned early that people left. But something about Alexander felt different. He wasn't offering her a fairy tale romance. He was offering partnership, mutual support, a chance to help each other heal. The next morning, Elena called the number on the card. "Mr. Blackwood, it's Elena Martinez. I'd like to meet Sophia again, if that's all right." The meeting was arranged for that afternoon at Alexander's home, a sprawling mansion that somehow felt cold despite its beautiful furnishings. Sophia was in the garden with her nanny, a kind older woman named Mrs. Chen. "Sophia," Alexander called gently, "someone's here to see you." The little girl looked up from her flowers, and her face lit up with recognition. "The angel lady," she cried, running toward Elena with arms outstretched. Elena knelt down and caught the child in a warm embrace. "Hello, sweetheart. How are you feeling?" "Much better. Mrs. Chen says I can't eat strawberries anymore, but that's okay. Daddy says you might come work at his new hospital." Elena glanced at Alexander, who was watching them with an expression of wonder and hope. "Would you like that?" she asked Sophia. "Yes, and maybe you could come have dinner with us sometimes. Daddy makes terrible pancakes, but Mrs. Chen won't let him near the stove anymore." Elena laughed, and for the first time in years, she felt something she'd almost forgotten, the warmth of belonging. Over the following weeks, Elena began transitioning to her new position. She spent time with Sophia regularly, helping with homework, reading bedtime stories, and teaching her simple Spanish words. The little girl blossomed under the attention, becoming more talkative and playful. Alexander proved to be different from Elena's assumptions about wealthy CEOs. He was devoted to his daughter, cutting meetings short to attend her school plays and keeping his phone off during family dinners. He was also surprisingly domestic, despite his admitted lack of cooking skills. "I want to learn," he told Elena one evening as they watched Sophia play in the garden. "After Sarah died, I threw myself into work because I didn't know how to be both mother and father to her. But seeing how happy Sophia is with you here, I want to be present for every moment I can." Elena found herself drawn to his sincerity. Alexander wasn't looking for someone to replace his late wife or to simply manage his household. He wanted a partner in raising his daughter, someone who would love Sophia as much as he did. One evening, 3 months after Elena had taken the position, Sophia fell asleep between them on the couch while they watched a movie. Alexander carefully lifted his daughter to carry her upstairs. "She's never slept this peacefully," he whispered to Elena, "not since her mother died." Elena followed them upstairs, helping tuck Sophia into bed. As they stood in the doorway watching the little girl sleep, Alexander took Elena's hand. "I know this is unconventional," he said quietly, "but I need you to know that what I feel for you, it's not just gratitude. You've brought light back into this house. You've given Sophia her smile back, and you've reminded me what it feels like to look forward to coming home." Elena felt her heart race. She'd been fighting her growing feelings for Alexander, telling herself it was just the situation, the job, the gratitude. But standing there in the soft glow of Sophia's nightlight, she couldn't deny the truth. "I love her," Elena whispered, looking at the sleeping child. "I love her, like she's my own." "And me?" Alexander asked, his voice barely audible. Elena turned to face him, seeing the vulnerability in his eyes. This powerful man who commanded boardrooms and made million-dollar decisions was asking her for something money couldn't buy. "I love you. 2, she admitted. I love this family we're building together. 6 months later, Elena moved into the mansion permanently. It wasn't a romantic whirlwind, but something deeper, a partnership built on mutual respect, shared values, and love for Sophia. Their wedding was small and intimate, held in the same garden where Elena had first reunited with Sophia. The little girl served as flower girl, beaming as she scattered rose petals for her new mother to